Good morning,
Hi,
Brian.
hi, Haley. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Before we started recording, you said you're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I want to know what the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful comes from.
Um,
Tell me about that.
I had a very spontaneous weekend, and it was just one of those magically spontaneous, completely unplanned that I just went for the ride, and I'm still in that sort of bubble of joy. And I was speaking to my friend yesterday, and she was like, what you hit is the joy that we're all seeking. So I'm kind of like in this wonderful joy bubble.
How did you hit it? How did you find it? What did it look like?
It was really, it didn't look like anything. It was more of a feeling and a conscious decision to let go. Um, it just random things happen, very unplanned.
Yeah.
I have a Mayan Medicine Man that I see here in Merida, and he's about an hour and a half out in the Pueblos. And my next door neighbor was telling me how she's been sick for the last 3 weeks and the doctors can't figure out what's going on. She thinks it's a parasite. They like are doing every test under the sun. So I just randomly suggested, hey, I know a Mayan medicine man. He does all of the natural plant medicine and he knows all the parasites. If you want, go see him. And she was like, yeah. So I organized it, got her the driver and everything. And I was like, here you go. You're going to go on Saturday. She responded, you're coming with me, right? And I wasn't really planning on it because she's not my client. Like, she doesn't really need me there. The driver will come late for her. So I was like, I will never say no to an opportunity to seeing this man and going on an adventure. So I was like, sure, I'll go. So we went out there Saturday morning. He mentioned as soon as we like sat down and started chatting to him that she needed a massage that can only be done at her house because you need to lie down on the floor. He does the massage, and then you need to continue lying down for like 2 hours afterwards to let the massage sit and sort of settle. So she said, yeah, let's do it on Monday. And I suggested, seeing as though he's going to be there, you may as well do a house clearing and clear out all of the energy of the house. She was like, perfect. Well, while he's here doing it all for me, he should do it all for you too. And once again, I was like, okay, may as well. So we had, that was just the open plan. And so we actually, when you go to him, he does a ceremony before he actually does the whole plant medicine thing. So we're having the ceremony. I think it's about the fourth or fifth ceremony that I've had with him. And it was just the ceremony where I was like, if you've ever meditated, you kind of, and you have a good flow with your meditation, there seems to be almost like this wall where you get to it and you're like, if I go into that, I'm floating. If I kind of stay close to it, I can still feel like I'm in control, like I'm still fully aware in my body. And whenever I do ceremonies, I always try and stay in control, never really just letting go. And this time I was just like, my pelvis can hold me. I'm letting go. So I just went and went on a trip. And it's not that there was any sort of psychedelics or hallucinations. It's just this feeling of joy and being completely okay. Like nothing matters. Nothing's worth worrying about. And it is, I was like, as I'm going into it, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so high. I am so high. But really, it's not high, it's joy. You're just in this bubble of joy where you just want to smile. You just want to be like, holy moly, this is amazing.
You're euphoric.
Sorry?
Euphoric?
Euphoria. That's the word I've been looking for.
Yeah.
It is a complete state of euphoria. So he finished with me and he says, go sit down and meditate and ask the universe for what you want. I'm just sitting down in the corner chuckling to myself in a complete state of euphoria. And we finished the ceremony and I'm like, okay, come on back, but I don't really want to come back. And we start organizing how this is going to happen for Monday morning. In order for him to be at our house by 7, his driver would need to leave like at 4 in the morning, pick him up and get him to us by 7. And I was just like, I have an extra room. If you want, come stay with me. He was like, yeah, I'll come stay with you. And I was like, what's happening here? So I had this wonderful Mayan medicine man come and spend Sunday night with me, cleared my house. I was incredibly nervous because he doesn't speak English. I can barely speak Spanish. I didn't know what to feed him because his wife is an amazing cook. I cannot cook like she does by any means. So I was incredibly nervous, but at the same time in this like bubble of euphoria, like chill out, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. And it ended up being just the most magical, like spontaneous, miraculous weekend of just like, how did you get here, Hayley Evans?
Mm-hmm.
And it's, when you're in that place, you can celebrate everything and every person that has touched your life, whether it's good or bad, regardless of how you perceive it, and just sit there and go like, it all meant something. It all built up to this moment right now, right here. So it was a magical thing. And like I said, I'm still in that bubble of euphoria where it's just like, life is grand.
Hayley, a few questions, if I might. How did it impact your neighbor in terms of her sense of wellness?
She, immediately after the ceremony on Saturday, she actually looked much brighter. And then on Monday morning Sunday night, we did the house clearing ceremonies. She again actually had a smile and said that she actually felt her energy back already before she even had the massage. And then after the massage, I spoke with her on Monday night and she was like, I'm back. I've never felt so good. And her face actually looks like it's lighter, like it's more essential.
Hayley, can you duplicate what he did? I know that he was speaking Spanish, and I don't know if either of you understood what he was saying when he cleansed the house or did the massage, but can you do that, having watched him and gone through it yourself?
For the house clean, the Mayan ceremony, I can't do it. I know what's going on and I know what to do and where to place myself and when to do different things, but it is in Mayan, so I don't fully know all of the Mayan words. I know the Mayan words for the different directions, but in calling in the directions in the Mayan prayers, I don't know. I do house clearings in English. And it is similar. It's just, I feel like a little bit different because we are on Mayan land. So I feel like the Mayan ceremony is a bit more powerful and impactful. But I think the results, like whether you clear your house in English versus in Mayan, your house is still clearing and cleaning.
So for people who are listening, myself included, who aren't within an hour drive of a Mayan mystic, what is the alternative?
You can do this on your own at home. Sage smudge sticks are really popular right now. Palo Santo wood sticks are really popular. So simply it's breathing into a meditative state, getting yourself nice and clear and grounded, and then smudging yourself, and then just walking around the house and really paying attention to the walls, the windows, the corners, and wanding with the smudge stick and having a very clear intention of what you want the house to be. So if I'm clearing the house, or, for the purposes of this conversation, if I'm clearing my own house, I walk around and I just continually think to myself, I want this house to be clean. I want my presence to be a blessing here. And I want to receive the blessings of this land, of this house. I want it to be a place of joy, of health. I want it to be a sanctuary. So as I'm walking around, I'm just continually saying those words as I go through each room of the house and around the border of the property, within the border. And that's really all that you need to do.
What about the massage? What is special about the massage that he gives? That is that something you can do?
The massage that he does is realigning the belly button, which has a very cute word in mine. It's called the touch, el touch, or a touch. And he realigns the belly button, which totally makes sense because the belly button is the center of our world. It's where the umbilical cord is. So as we go through life, and even, any kind of heavy lifting, any kind of trauma, anything, our belly button can be pulled off center. And if our belly button, in the Mayan belief, if the belly button is off center, then your chakras are off center, your entire physical system is off center. So you need it to be realigned to come back into alignment, to have balance with your body as well as your energy systems. So his massage is lying on the floor with a yoga mat or something soft to break the coolness of the floor and the hardness of the floor. And he actually massages around the belly button, which is very rare. Most people who massage don't touch the belly button or don't really mess with the stomach area. But he massages that entire area, the liver, the gallbladder, the spleen, the pancreas, the entire area gets a massage and sort of a shift, very gentle. Then he turns you on your side and you actually get a side massage. Then you go onto your stomach and he does it all again from the back, and then onto your other side and you get the other side done. Then you lie back on your back and he actually wraps you in a bandage to hold everything in place, and then you lie there for as long as possible. You are pretty relaxed, and you do get a wave of tiredness afterwards, so you can sleep for 2 hours after it, and then you get up. You're supposed to wear the bandage for the entire day, and just really take it easy. No heavy lifting, nothing crazy, no working out, and then that's it.
And Hayley, this is may sound mundane, but how much does it cost to have this done?
He charges around 2,000 pesos for a service, so that's $100.
And that service includes both the cleansing of the house and the massage?
The house cleansing and the massage were two different services.
So it's like $200?
Yeah, it's $200. If
Okay.
you go to him for a, if I take my clients to his house to actually get the Mayan ceremony, get their bodies cleared and have a chat with him, he charges 2,000 and you get the full Mayan ceremony and you get time with him. And if you need any medicines, that's all included. So it's literally $100 a service with him.
So if you were to leave where you are and move back to Florida, let's say, how would you meet the need that he serves now?
I'm a firm believer that wherever you go, you meet these people.
Mhm.
So one of my biggest concerns about leaving New York was leaving my healer in New York. I had a wonderful man who I called Jesus in my pocket. He was just an amazing healer. He knew my body, he knew me, and I went to him every week just to kind of keep me centered and kind of help me figure out what I needed to do. So that was my biggest stress leaving New York, was what do I do now without him? And he does sort of long distance energy sessions. So when I came to Merida, I was looking for a plant medicine person. It took me a year and 4 months to find this guy.
Okay.
So the teachers do come to you at the right time. The healers come to you at the right time when you need them.
Mhm.
And I think when the time is right.
And they may not present themselves as healers. Is that right?
He calls himself a Mayan medicine man. We would, from the US perspective, would call him a shaman. He doesn't call himself a shaman. He's just, when he's working, he's a Mayan medicine man. When he's not doing that, he's a farmer, a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather.
Hayley, the ritual that you described with the sage in terms of cleansing, walking from window to window, wall to wall, giving intention to the space. This is my feeling that we all can do that.
We absolutely can.
On our own. My great aunt Helen, when there was going to be a storm, would go from window to window with a relic. Who knew if it was really a chip of the bone of
yeah.
But she believed it to be real and to have power. And this was her ritual. And the ritual provided her a sense of comfort that her space was indeed blessed. And I believe that intention is really what this is all about. Even massaging one's own midsection with intention, with consciousness, and letting go. You said that the joy you experienced really resulted from you letting go of control, right? There are times you have to be in control, especially if you're the teacher, you're the guide, everyone's counting on you. You're like the designated driver. It's your responsibility to stay in control. But one of the things that comes to me from just a lot of conversations that we're having with others in this, in this format, and Joseph Campbell talked about the power of rituals, right? So there's a Mayan ritual, and you buy it, you buy into it, you believe it, you believe there's power there. One would have to believe it in order for it to have an effect, I believe, right? And others put their faith in praying to Allah, in a certain direction and making a pilgrimage. And so we create rituals that help us get through the mendacity of our lives, that we feel that we're off and the house feels not right. It doesn't feel that it has the energy that the last house had, maybe. And I believe we have the power to create that ourselves with intention. Right?
I absolutely agree with you. And in the way that I work, although people think that I have a gift, I don't think the gift is unique to me. I think the difference between me and the people that I work with is that I've just opened into it a little bit sooner than they have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that any one of us has more power than the other. We all have an equal amount of power. We all have an equal amount of light within us. And I think it is the intention that has the power.
We all have a well.
We all
And
have a well that has the same amount of water in it.
of divinity, of God energy, of whatever, of gifts.
Absolutely.
But you have to do the work of putting the bucket in the well and pulling it up over and over and over again.
Over and over again. And that's the consistency, the patience, the persistence.
The practice.
Practice, which is really important. And I think that's the difference between some people living the journey and other people, coming in and out of the journey, or some people not yet being on the journey. Because it does, it takes effort and it takes a different intention.
Mm-hmm. It takes time.
It takes time.
And it takes commitment.
Yeah. And I think, important thing to note there about the well is that the water is the water. It's not different water. Not one water is better than the other water. So here, because I'm in the Yucatan, I am on what is traditionally Mayan land, and it is infused with the Mayan consciousness. I'm going to respect that. I'm also going to embrace it. But I don't think that it's the only way. And I would absolutely open up. And if I went to Peru, which is more Inca type consciousness, I would practice Inca ways. If I went to the Middle East and it's all Islamic ways, I would practice Islamic ways. If I went to Israel and it's Jewish predominantly, I'm happy to practice those ways, because at the end of the day, the well is the well. It's the same well. It's going to the same place.
And I think, a lot of people search, they travel to Tibet and climb make arduous trips to meet the Holy One and to get answers. And the answer basically is, you didn't need to leave your house.
You didn't need to leave your house.
Yeah.
And a couple years ago, I was in Nicaragua, and I was I've always been in a place where I like to push myself to see how far I can go. And I wanted to do the volcano boarding, which is basically going down the side of a volcano on a little board, literally as big as a skateboard. And I pushed myself because I'm allergic to sulfur. The major gas of volcanoes is sulfur. And so it wasn't smart from that perspective. It is dangerous. Because on the side of the volcanoes is just these tiny shards of really sharp lava. It's not just like the beach. So if you fall, you have to be really conscious about keeping your face up so your face doesn't get scratched up. But I had it in my mind that I needed to do this to prove something to myself, or even prove that God was real, that God would take care of me, like regardless of all of these things, I would still be okay. So I walked up this volcano with my inhaler, inhaling because I couldn't breathe. Got to the top of the volcano, and there was a line. So all of the tours were going down one part of it, and I just didn't go with the tour. I just got to the volcano, went with a local dude, and he's like, come down this side. There's just one tiny little path going down, nobody else around, and he's like, go for it. So he gives me quick instructions, and I'm like, how bad can this be? It doesn't seem that difficult. So I started going, and then I was like, wow, there's a lot of like of this lava stuff catching on the front of my board. If it goes any deeper, I'll go over T. So I stopped the board, cleaned it off. I don't know why. And then carried on. And you pick up some serious speed. You're going down a volcano on a tiny board that is maybe like 10 inches wide and maybe like 3 feet long, 4 feet long. It's literally like a toboggan, a little skinnier than a toboggan. And you're going down this thing. So there's dust flying everywhere. You have goggles on, you have like overalls on to protect your clothes. And I halfway down, I just got spooked and I was like, I'm going too fast. I'm going too fast. So I tried to slow myself down and ended up completely messing it all up and rolling down the hill, down the rest of the volcano. When I got to the bottom, my left knee was completely shot. I heard it go. I was just like, Evans, this did not work out well. So I got to the bottom of it, and it was at the bottom, you know, I'm in the middle of Nicaragua. There's nothing around. There's no medics. There's no ice. I had to get a Fanta to try and put 2 Fantas on either side of my knee to try and control the swelling, and drive 2 hours back to where I was staying. I mean, like, what are you going to do? So that night I was sitting there going like, that's the last time I push it, because the answers aren't in these crazy adventures. The answers aren't in pushing yourself. The answers are inside.
What lesson did you learn from, I mean, besides that the answers are inside and that you don't need to keep doing these life-threatening
extreme sports.
Yeah, in order for you to find the answers. You did learn something in the process. What did you learn?
I learned that my guides are probably sitting there going like, oh, let's go.
Or wow, look at her.
Maybe.
You know, she took on, she made a journey that none of us have made. She's allergic to sulfur. She's just a little spit of a thing. And, you know, and guess what? She survived it.
I survived it, and I came out smarter, because I did make a very clear decision at that point that no more trying to push myself, and definitely no more crazy antics.
Were you proud of yourself?
No.
I'm proud of you just hearing the story.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily proud of myself because I knew I pushed it, and I was more grateful that I wasn't more hurt than I was. I ended up pulling my, like, the MCL, the ACL, and when I got back to New York, it took like 6 months of therapy to try and get it back to some kind of place where I could walk again. I was mostly just grateful for not being more hurt than I was. But pride wasn't up there.
What did you expect when you decided to do it? What did people say you would get out of it if you did it? Why did others do it? Was it like a?
I think it goes with that adrenaline rush. People do it for the adrenaline rush, you know.
So it's not spiritual.
Well, I think adrenaline rushes are spiritual in nature. We sometimes don't realize it, because it is pushing us to that ledge of euphoria. If I do this, will I touch that euphoria? And that's what's so ironic about this, is that I leapt into euphoria sitting in a Mayan hut in Chippewa. Like, there was nothing dangerous about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, not to you, because you've been down the volcano. But
well,
to some,
I mean, like, when you think about these things we do as humans to push the limits, And to reach that level of euphoria, whether it's extreme sports, whether it's drinking or drugs or, overworking, whatever it is, whenever we push ourselves as far as we can to test ourselves, I think it's spiritual in nature. To your point, we're seeking.
It's a hunger.
It's a hunger for, who am I? What does all of this mean? What
Right.
happens if I, go where people tell me not to go?
Right. And what answer does one come back with? In the examples that you gave of extreme sports, gambling, I don't know if you said that, but eating, sex,
Yeah,
any
all of these
addiction,
things.
What do you come home with?
I think it depends on everybody. It's unique to everybody what they come home with. I think I can say at this level of my journey, I no longer do that. But am I now addicted to, could it be said that I'm addicted to meditation, that I'm addicted to the spiritual lifestyle? I think anybody on the outside could say that. Do I think I am? No, I try to have some balance because I think it's really important to have that balance and have moments where I'm just trying to be as normal as possible and have non-spiritual conversations. But I would ask that to you too, Brian. What is it? What is at the end for you?
I think a lot of it, the answers are similar to what you get in a recovery program. Be in the moment, be present. You're not going to find your answers in any of the places that you're looking. The answer comes from within. Trust in a higher power, even if you're the higher power. Right?
Yeah.
And I think the hunger for knowledge, for meaning, is good. It's healthy. Jesus went into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, not to prove anything, but because he needed to search. And in that process, we're told that he had all these temptations. And so we're testing ourselves, I think. You tested yourself in the volcano. I think when we lose control of the hunger and it overtakes us, that's when addiction is anything that interferes with the normal running of your life.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever it is. But I think every experience that you've had helps create the Hayley
Absolutely.
who people come to and look to for guidance. And your peacefulness, it's not like you've got a Mayan prayer to give them that will cure them.
No.
Right. And it's not as if you're going to tell them something that they don't know if they stop and think, right?
Absolutely.
But because you keep putting the bucket in the well and keep pulling it up and drinking from it and putting it back down and pulling it back up, it gives you a strength that helps people who come to you for help.
Absolutely.
Same with me. I've never gone down a volcano. I mean, I've done some extreme stuff like
what?
The Inca Trail, at in my 60s, climbing up the thousands of feet up and down just these narrow rocks, and then to have a donkey coming towards you and you lean against the rock wall in order to make space in this.
Suck in.
Yeah. That experience for me, seeing the Mayan ruin or the Inca ruins, wasn't what was spiritual for me. What was spiritual for me was the experience of going there, the journey of, seeing extraordinary hummingbirds and butterflies and other ruins, and realizing that I was making this journey, and I wasn't too old to do it. I had just kayaked the Galapagos. When I turned 65, was it 60 or 65? I got my motorcycle license and my scuba diving certification.
Wow.
Yeah, same year. And I'm glad that I did it. I never scuba dived after that. Ray bought me this wonderful equipment. I never used it because there wasn't any place to go and no one to go with. And the motorcycle, I got the least heavy one I could get, so that if it fell on me, I could get up. And I enjoyed that, and I felt a sense of freedom with it. I think these experiences help create me and where I am today at 73. And so if somebody asks to get together with me for coffee, what they're getting in response to the situations they present, it's just the wisdom that comes from living my own life.
So what's left on your, what are the couple things that are on the next to-do list for you in continuing the bucket list? So you've got your scuba diving and you've got your motorcycle license. What are the next big birthday surprises? I
think next summer, I'll probably want to get back just once on the water skis, pay for it for 2 weeks, but get up again. And because I loved it when I did it, I used to love it, and I was good at it.
Ocean or in a lake?
Well, I did it on the ocean all the time when we lived in Provincetown, and but the harbor could be pretty calm. It's no fun when it's choppy.
No.
And but I would be going on the lake if next 4th of July, maybe I'll report back.
Amazing.
But it's not something that I have to do in order to prove anything to myself. I think the next thing I'd like to have happen is just, get this book on being gay and gray published, and then, move on to another book, maybe an autobiography. Who knows what's going to be next? Like you, over the weekend, saying yes is really what
I think that's the adrenaline rush now.
Yeah, say yes. Somebody says, they want to do a radio show. Yeah, sure. Be happy to.
And who knows where it ends up? I think that's also sort of a level of trust that comes, that when you say yes and you don't know what the outcome is, I mean, sometimes the outcome is really amazing. And I think you start to build up that trust in saying yes, that good things actually come, that you don't need to be so concerned about constructing.
No, but you also have to be prepared for disappointment.
Yeah.
I've said yes a couple times, and it didn't pan out. It didn't happen. Did long interviews, and my part wasn't included in the report. And you have to say, okay, that's part of life.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And I try to prepare others for that. Hayley, Ray and I are watching. I don't know how much time we have, but
Hayley, half an hour. Lots of time.
Oh, we do? Oh, wow. So Ray and I are watching a TV program called Legends. It's about, Robin, of Batman and Robin, taking in young people who have skills but don't know what to do with them. And I think part of my desire at this point in my life is to be a space, create a space that helps other people feel safe practicing who they are. And I don't know how, I'm not hanging a shingle to do it. But I think that's That's what I most want in
I
my
think
life.
it's so important. And I think there's so much importance there because I think it's important to have an intention of that. And whatever
Mhm.
that might end up meaning and manifesting for everybody, it's good. And also not having to like hang a shingle for it. Like you don't need to have a physical meeting place to be able to do that. It's just an intention is the best place to start. And I found over like last year was really tough with the polarization and especially with the elections, and this year feels like it's even more intense with the whole vaccination thing and this whole Delta variant. And I think creating or having the intention of creating those safe spaces for people just to be themselves, because it almost feels like now people are even way more afraid than last year to be themselves.
Mhm. Yeah. I feel so badly that younger people, for whom this would normally be their time
Mm,
to go down the volcano, you know, or to ski on the ocean. There's so many things are in the way of that.
yeah.
And I feel badly about that. However, they don't need to have the same experiences I had or you
Yeah.
had in order to become wise people. And the wisdom they get from going through this epidemic safely, surviving it, is something they'll be able to teach the next generation
Absolutely.
who has no sense of it.
Yeah. And I think if anything I've learned over this weekend is, everything means something. Everything matters. Whether you
If
understand it at the point in time, it still matters.
and if you reflect upon it, you
Mm.
need to give it your attention. That's what ritual does. Ritual focuses our attention. Every morning I light a cone of incense and a tea light, and I think about a person who has died, and I call their name out in my mind, and I give thought to who they were. I thank them. But for me, it's focusing my attention on the influence of someone in my life who I want to honor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, do I need the cone of incense and the candle? No, but if I didn't light them, I probably wouldn't be thinking about it. You know, the sage, it's a pleasant smelling thing. Um, it's kind of cool to see the smoke, but what it's basically doing is focusing. Sage isn't doing anything to,
I mean, I think it
drive out the
has
devil.
useful properties, but is it more powerful than the intention?
Yeah.
No, I think the intention is the power there. And I think to your point, having these things to keep our hands busy or our eyes focused are these wonderful tools to help us get into that moment, to find some comfort in that moment so we can relax. What other rituals do you have? Like, what is your daily ritual?
Well, thank you for the question. I was going to say that people who talk to their plants have very different experiences in their garden than people who plant something, fertilize it, water it, but walk past it.
Mm-hmm.
When you acknowledge the individual plants, hey, how are you? Oh, you're looking a little, is there something you need? Should I be cutting something that's blocking the sun? Are you okay with that? Do you have enough shade? That suddenly the garden becomes, well, it already is, but it becomes for you a living, welcoming home, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's glad to see you, and tests have shown if you wire plants, they register emotion, right?
Have you seen the somatics? There was a Japanese researcher, scientist, I want to say in the 70s, maybe earlier,
Yeah.
who set an intention, spoke to water, and then photographed the water through a
Yes.
microscope.
Yeah, yes, I saw that. I watched it on, I think, YouTube. It was a group of people holding hands and giving intention to the water, and it changed it.
It changes it.
Yeah. So in terms of ritual, well, I have a breakfast ritual with Ray, and with Lincoln. And then I have the ritual of preparing the evening meal in the morning. Our nap is a ritual every day, between 1 and 3. Usually between 1 and 2, we're reading, and then 2 and 3, because 3 o'clock, Lincoln's ritual is he's going to wake us up, because 3:15 he wants to be fed. Now, it used to be 5, and then 4:30, and then 4, and then 3:30. Now he's got us 3:15. So that's his ritual, right? But the rituals that and all of those give my life meaning, but the ones that I think others don't do, or many others don't do, that I think if they could think about doing it would make a difference, is just acknowledge the life in other living things and honor it, including water. When I'm in the pool, when I'm in the swimming pool, I really communicate with the water. I thank it.
Absolutely. And I think it makes it just, for me, like being present with absolutely everything, it just makes everything a bit more precious. I wanted to ask you, what happens if your rituals are mixed up, or if you don't get to do your rituals for a day or a specific ritual in that day?
I feel it. I'm not and I've shared this with you, and I'm not proud of it, but I'm not a disciplined meditator, and I want to be. I would like to get up in the morning and do some stretching and sit and meditate. Now, a ritual that we've just started back again is when I sit down, with Ray's and my English muffin with half of it, peanut butter and banana, I read a section of the Tao out loud, and we talk about it. And then privately, I read the prayer of St. Francis from my mother's funeral card. And I look at my mother's name, and I look at the date of birth and death, and I read the prayer. And I'll tell you, Hayley, when I get back to the rituals that pay attention to the values that I cherish, I get recentered. When I ignore them, I lose my center. My emotions are more volatile.
Absolutely.
I got really angry a week ago, and in some ways it felt good to get it out, but I'm self-conscious about allowing myself to get to the point where I expressed that anger and frustration. And it just told me, okay, something's not right. You're not connected. This is not you. This is not the you that you know and love and who others trust and are drawn to. So what's going on? What are you missing? What's upsetting you? And so, this hour with you, this ritual of our Thursday
it's a
hour
daily
together.
and a weekly ritual.
It's very important
Mhm.
to me, whether anyone listens to it or not.
No, it's
You
a
know, I'd like to have others because I think they might, enjoy it or get something out of it. Actually, I'd love it if the screen was filled with faces, and each person got to chat and join in the conversation. I don't know how to do that. And I don't know how to do it and not leave others out. But every night, Ray and I, before we eat, have the ritual of acknowledgement
mm,
of our blessings, even when we're upset.
yeah.
We stop before we eat and acknowledge how grateful we are for the food, for each other, for the time that we have together, for this moment, for the dog, for Hayley, for whoever that day entered our lives,
Mhm.
for whoever we know at that moment needs help. And then we acknowledge that most people at that moment are not living as comfortably, as safely, and feeling as valued as we do. So we send them our love, and then we turn on our program and have our dinner.
Amazing, amazing. And again, I think, the core of that is the intention. And that's the power. I think we feel sometimes so powerless when we look at the world and we look at where everybody is at that sort of very macro level. And it does become overwhelming when we think, what can I do? Like, is there even anything I can do to help any of this? And I always say the answer is yes. Just have the intention, have the ritual, as you said, where you are just taking a moment to be grateful for what you have, and then sending love to all of those that may not be as comfortable at that point in time. It is powerful.
I hug uh, grocery store clerks if I think they need it.
Mm,
One woman I saw in the parking lot several months ago crying, and I knew her because I had brought Lincoln in and she loved Lincoln. Well, her father had just died.
oh, wow.
So every time I go into Fresh Market, I look for her and I ask, how you doing? She says, thank you for asking. I'm okay. I said, a couple of days ago, I said, I think you need a hug. and I'm a good hugger. And so I gave her a good hug and she said, thank you. Thank you for that. I needed that. And, that's not stopping the Taliban from taking over Afghanistan. I can't do anything about that. But I can not honk at somebody who doesn't leave immediately when the light turns green. I can stop myself from doing that. When I don't stop myself, I don't feel very good. I think, why did you have to do that? Why? And I never lay on the horn. I usually just beep, beep, it's like beep, beep, like the road runner, beep, beep, just to try to wake them up. But even that, I think, did you have to do that? So I think going back to your question about how do we help the world, we help it one person at a time.
And it starts like at the individual in your community, and it does spread out, ripple out from
it does. Yeah. The woman I hugged is less likely to, treat somebody else that day poorly. And we don't see these waves. We start one and then we move on. We try to make another one, a good one, but we don't see how they come together and create this, tsunami of.
Yeah, as soon as we leave, we don't see how that, impacts their life and how then it changes in their life either. And I think it's the same thing that you were talking about Peru, where it wasn't really about getting to the Machu Picchu. It was more about the journey there. And I think it's, not to be too concerned with how it's going to impact their life and how they're going to take it forward. Just be more concerned about how you're now taking it forward, and do continually, or trying to continue to do it throughout the day.
Yeah. Do you return your grocery carts to the area that they designate for returning it?
Mhm.
Or do you leave it where your car is and force somebody else to get out of their car and move it so they can park? Little things, I pick up trash if I see it and put it in. And, I'm sure there are people thinking, you idiot, the germs that you're touching. I don't care. I'm not going to put my hand in my mouth immediately. But if there's a empty bottle sitting, and often they're sitting right next to the trash can.
Yeah.
What? Come on. So, all right.
It's kind of like at the beach. I now take trash bags whenever I go to the beach, because I cannot lie on the beach and just look at trash. I'm like, I'm up. I'm going on a trash walk.
Now that can get obsessive compulsive. I used to clean the beach in Provincetown, and you can get I got obsessive compulsive about it.
I mean,
so
there's so much trash on the beach, and it's just,
oh my God, it's just,
I have to remind myself, like, remember you came here to relax and chill out.
Right. Do a little,
and do what you can, clean your space around you.
Yeah. And
Don't
smile.
Yeah. Don't be passive aggressive when the people next to you maybe aren't as OCD about the trash as you are.
Right. Don't come down on them.
Yeah.
I had a woman, I was at Home Depot in the garden center, one of my favorite haunts. And a woman walked by with a mask on, and all she did was point to her mask, because I didn't have one on. And I thought, that was not an aggressive way to say, where's your mask? Now, I didn't need to put one on. There were others that didn't have them on, but I put it on. It was in my pocket, and I thought, why not? I don't know that we're paying enough attention to this new strain. People say, well, I've been vaccinated. It's not going to kill me. No, but it can make you sick.
And you can pass it on to other people without even knowing.
Yeah.
I hate the mask. I've hated the mask all of last year into this year. I will wear my mask because I know that there is some level of protection, whether it's 5% or 80%. I don't care. Yeah. But I mostly wear it because it gives other people a sense of comfort. They can be like, I'm okay. And I'm like, if I'm walking around and somebody else is wearing a mask and they're coming towards me, I will put my mask on. I won't just blatantly walk past them and pretend that I don't need a mask. And it sucks. I hate the mask, and it's hot and it's sweaty, and this thing like mask acne now, because it just irritates.
Well, and I it's like the bottle of water in the boat that lasts the whole summer for me. I wear one mask all the time, and unless Ray says, here, take a new one. But I don't go to anything that I have to sit for an hour in a mask. Although we did just go to the Van Gogh exhibition. Right. Oh my God, that was amazing. And we wore a mask the whole time for that, and it was worth it.
I think there's times where I just suck it up, like being on planes, I'll wear the mask.
Oh yeah.
That kind of stuff, I'll suck it up. But I'm like that too. Like, I'm not going to go to crowded places or anything where there's a congregation of people where I have to wear a mask. I mean, the grocery store's it, and thankfully nobody's really at the grocery store these days.
Yeah. And we humans deserve a lot of credit. We're all disappointed that there are so many Americans who won't get the vaccine for whatever crazy reason they have. But when you mentioned the airplane, and what came to my mind was the increased number of incidents of people fighting the flight attendant. And, I get angry thinking about, why can't you just, do what you're told? But then I think, what, that there are 200 people on the plane who are doing what they're told, or 100, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we should, be proud of them and of ourselves. There are a couple who, draw attention to themselves all the time.
And we never know what's going on with them either. And I think, to your point, if somebody could just stand up and give them a hug, would things change?
Maybe, or they could hit you in the, I think you have to be careful. I think
the plane thing is a very interesting, and I know we're running out of time and I have so many topics that roll on, but I think the plane thing is very interesting because I think the anger on the planes has been something that's been building for years and years and years. And I think it has a lot to do with the enclosed space and the tightness of the space. And if you're fitting 200 people into a little tube,
yeah,
I think you're like, if there's ever a scenario for a pressure cooker, it's right there.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but that does not absolve people.
It doesn't absolve them, but I think
who think that I'm being forced to wear the mask by a fascist. Well, you're forced to wear a seatbelt too.
It's just, and I think that's the contradictions make it funny. And I'm so in love with humans that make these memes and see the contradiction and turn it into a like, hey man, really?
Yeah.
We do have a choice here. We can celebrate the humans that are doing what they need to do, being respectful, and choosing joy, or we can celebrate the ones that are being twits. And
right.
I choose to celebrate the ones that bring joy, man, because a lot of them bring a lot of joy to my life every day.
Yeah.
With their observations.
And they need affirmation.
I think we do. If we maybe celebrated them more, we wouldn't care so much that Joe Schmo was being a twit on the plane. We'd be more, concerned about what everybody else was doing, and less time and less media would go to those, less attention.
Right. Yeah.
But things to look forward to, I suppose.
Yeah. Life is good.
Life is good. Well, if you
have the intention, you have to.
You have the intention, and use the ritual to power up your intentions.
Any ritual you want to create.
Any ritual.
Yeah. All right, honey.
Well, I love you, dear Brian. Thank you for
Hayley.
this wonderful conversation, and I so look forward to next week. And we'll speak to each other probably before then, but definitely next Thursday.
I love you, my friend.
Lots of love to you and Rain. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Bye. Bye-bye.